January 2021, in the small town of Leggett, Texas, a mother called 911 because her baby had stopped breathing and she needed an emergency ambulance right away. She was told an ambulance was on the way, and she was told to hold on. She kept performing CPR while the minutes stretched like hours. Finally, someone told her the paramedics could not reach her because a Union Pacific freight train had parked across Glover Road. There was no way around it, no alternate route, just a wall of steel while her baby's life slipped away with every passing second. Before we go any further, hit subscribe and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. The ambulance eventually got through after more than 30 minutes. 2 days later, the baby was gone. The railroad company expressed its sympathies and said it was working to resolve problems at intersections in Leggett and other communities. Which is the same thing they had been saying since 1992, when a man named Pete Glover wrote them a letter warning that if there was ever a derailment, they would all be dead, with no evacuation route. He warned that if someone's house caught fire, there would be no way for trucks to reach them. Now, here is where this gets interesting. You might think there must be a law that says a freight train cannot sit on a public road for hours at a time, blocking ambulances, fire trucks, and regular people trying to get to work or pick up their kids from school. You would be right that such laws exist. 38 states and Washington, D.C. have them on the books, some going back more than 170 years. Ohio's version dates all the way to 1853, when Abraham Lincoln was still practicing law in Illinois. But here is the catch, and this is the part that makes your blood boil when you really understand what is happening. Those state laws cannot be enforced anymore, because the federal courts have ruled that railroad operations fall under federal jurisdiction thanks to the Interstate Commerce Commission Termination Act of 1995. This means that even though Ohio has had this law for 170 years, saying you cannot block a crossing for more than 5 minutes, the railroads can sue the state for trying to enforce it, and they will win every single time. They have sued. CSX took the city of Defiance, Ohio to federal court over $35,000 in fines for blocking crossings, and the judge ruled in favor of the railroad. Since then, the industry has successfully challenged these laws in Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Michigan, North Dakota, Oregon, and Texas. That means right now in America, there is no limit on how long a freight train can sit across a public road, because there is no federal regulation that says otherwise, and the states are not allowed to do anything about it. So, you have this situation where 212,000 railroad crossings exist in this country, and more than 130,000 of them are at grade, meaning the road and the tracks are at the same level with nothing separating them. When a train stops there, you have to wait until someone somewhere decides to move it. That might take 5 minutes, or it might take 5 hours. And there is absolutely nothing you or your local government or your state legislature can do to change that, because the federal government has claimed authority over railroad operations and then simply chosen not to regulate this particular issue. Meanwhile, the trains keep getting longer because the big freight railroads figured out that running one 3-mile train is cheaper than running 2 shorter ones, since you only need 1 crew instead of 2. The average train length has increased by 25% since 2008, and some of these monsters stretch for nearly 16,000 feet, which is close to 3 miles. When one of those parks across a town like Mount Victory, Ohio, it can block 4 or 5 crossings at the same time, so there is no way around it no matter which direction you try to go. This would be bad enough if it only affected commuters running late to work, but the Federal Railroad Administration has received more than 70,000 reports of blocked crossings since December 2019, and in nearly a quarter of those reports, witnesses observed pedestrians climbing between the train cars or crawling underneath them because they had no other way to get where they needed to go. In Hammond, Indiana, which sits right outside Chicago in one of the busiest rail corridors in the country, journalists documented dozens of school children doing exactly that every single day. Kids with backpacks squeezing between freight cars or scrambling over couplers because Norfolk Southern trains would park across the only route to their elementary school and just sit there. An 8th grade girl told reporters she would wait 10 minutes before making her move because she had seen plenty of trains start up without warning, and she knew what could happen if she guessed wrong. A mother described helping her 8-year-old son climb a ladder onto a flat car and then scramble down the other side just to get him to class. The state representative for that area said her biggest fear was that children would grow up thinking that crawling under a train was just a normal part of life. The railroad's CEO called the mayor after that story broke, and they talked about building a pedestrian overpass. Norfolk Southern committed to helping fund it, but then that CEO got fired in 2024. And the new chief now says there was never any formal agreement, and the company has only provided a fraction of what was promised. The overpass that might keep those kids safe will not be finished until 2029, if it gets built at all. In the meantime, the trains keep blocking the crossings, and the children keep finding ways through them. And this is happening while the industry spent $654 million on federal lobbying from 2002 to 2022, and while Norfolk Southern reported $2.9 billion in profit in 2025, and while the 7 largest freight railroads have cut their workforce by 28% since 2011, because fewer employees means lower operating costs, means happier shareholders, even if it also means longer trains that block more crossings for longer periods, while skeleton crews try to manage equipment that used to require twice as many hands. A fire chief in Houston testified that his department has had to detour 3,200 times since 2019 because of blocked crossings. There are documented cases of houses burning, while firefighters sat helpless on the other side of a parked train. A rail union official in Indiana watched videos of kids climbing through freight cars and said it was just a matter of time until something catastrophic happened. A mother in Texas buried her infant son because the ambulance could not get to him in time. Congress has introduced the same bill 4 separate times, trying to set a 10-minute limit on blocked crossings with federal fines for violations, and it has never passed because somehow the railroads always find a way to stop it. Right now, as you watch this, there is probably a freight train sitting across a road somewhere in America, blocking a school bus or an ambulance, or just regular people trying to live their lives. There is no law that can force it to move. The companies running these trains made billions of dollars last year. Somewhere a congressman is preparing to introduce that same blocked crossing bill for the 5th time, knowing it will probably fail again. Somewhere a child is looking at a stopped train and trying to decide whether to crawl under it or wait another hour. That is where we are in 2026.